Hi guys and welcome back to a new video. In today's video I want to share some important news with all of you regarding Timewalking and Timewraped badges, and as you will see, sadly this currency has been nerfed, or at least the way you can acquire pretty easily this currency with your alts has been heavily nerfed by Blizzard. So I'm sure that many of you are familiar with what's the most efficient way to farm these different Timewraped badges, and probably already have a lot in your different banks. But basically, before that, the most efficient way was by far on each of your characters, each time there was a new Timewalking event, to complete one Timewalking dungeon, because at the end of this dungeon, each time you're doing it for the first time during the current active Timewalking event, you would receive a quest item. So for instance, here for Wrath of the Lich King, as you can see, this is the Unstable Prism. And when completing this quest, you would receive automatically 500 badges. And so it means that probably in 15-20 minutes per character per event, you would be able to get around 500-600 badges super easily. And as these different badges are now warbound, it means that you can easily do that on all your characters and then transfer everything back to your main character to have tons and tons of these different badges. Also, next to that, when you have the different events that are up for the expansions where the Timewalking raid is available, such as for instance the Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King, and Cataclysm, you also have this disturbance detected quest, and when you complete it, you will also be able to receive 500 of the different badges, which is again something pretty easily that a lot of people are doing on all your different characters. So overall, this was pretty easy until now to farm these different badges, especially if you have a lot of alts. However, as you can see, now it's gonna be very different, and Blizzard decided to limit the amount of badges you will receive when completing these different quests on some of your alts. So for the disturbance detected, the one that is linked to the different Timewalking rates, on your first character, you will receive the 500 badges, but then on any of the other alts that you will do it with after that, you will only receive 300 badges. So it's a pretty big cut. And then for the other one that is linked to the dungeons, so the most efficient one in my opinion, you will still receive 500 for your first character you're doing it on, but then on all the other characters you will do the quest on, you will only receive 200 badges. So it means that while you can still farm all these different badges on all your different alts, it's really not as efficient, and you will probably have to do way more of these different dungeons and raids and other Timewalking activities in order to get the same amount of badges that you would have had in the past by simply doing these different activities on some of your alts. The main reason they're using in order to justify this change is because now that these different badges are warbanned and that there's so many already in circulation, I know that a lot of players, for instance, have more than 100,000 of them already in their banks. They want to basically remove a little bit the ability to farm them super easily with your alts, and again make this activity mainly for your main character. And then of course, if you want to farm more, you can use your alts, but in a little bit less efficient way. So this is the main thing they mentioned here, and of course they insisted on the fact that this is not something that will only be applied to the Timewalking event for Wrath of the Lich King, but to all the different Timewalking events. So apparently something that should remain the same for all the different Timewalking events starting from now. Now, the reason why I'm really surprised about this big nerf is due to the fact that with the WoW 20th anniversary event, which will be released in normally a few weeks from now, you will be able to buy a lot of new rewards with these different Timewraped badges, including, for instance, here from this vendor only, all these different weapons and all these other items for, as you can see, a lot of the different badges. In total, someone made an Excel sheet with all the new Timewalking items that you can get through this 20th anniversary event. And as you can see, in total, you will need around 36,000 for only these ones. But of course, next to that, remember that with patch 11.0.5, you will also be able to get tons of new rewards from the Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King Timewalking events, which will probably add another, I would say, 25,000-30,000 of these different Timewraped badges. So in total, it means that you will need probably between 60 to 70,000 of these different badges in order to buy all these new rewards. So again, I'm not exactly sure why Blizzard decided to do that now, especially when this currency is going to be really needed by a lot of players and something that players are going to try to farm a lot. I probably think that it's because they're planning to have tons of different Timewalking activities linked to the WoW 20th anniversary event, and so it's going to be a little bit easier to farm this currency during the event, and they don't want players to be able to farm this currency so easily before the event is released. Also, I know that a lot of players already have probably like around 100k of these different badges in their banks, and so this is definitely not something that is too difficult to farm, but still, I'm not really sure if it makes sense to do it just before this big event where the currency is going to be so relevant and before they introduce into the game all these kind of time limited rewards that will require you to actually farm a lot of these different currencies. Because remember, these different items, for instance, right here, will only be available during the WoW 20th anniversary event, and we don't know if they will be added back into the game later on. And just to put you in perspective how big this nerf is, before that, basically in order to, let's say, buy this new mount right here that will cost you 5,000 of the different Timewraped badges, you just had to do this dungeon and the one-time quest on 10 of your different characters, which would reward you with more than 5,000 of the different badges. But now it will take you 25 characters, or maybe just a little bit less, but at least the double in order to actually get your hands on the mount. So we're really talking about way more time needed and a really big nerf. So personally, while I do again see their points that they want to make sure that this currency still remains relevant and that it's not too easy to farm these different badges, I do think that this is a major mistake on Blizzard's part, because when they are announcing that they are bringing all these different cool transmogs and items and rewards into the game, and that you will need this currency in order to purchase and get all these different items, especially some that are time limited, but at the same time, you're announcing that you're nerfing the main way to farm these different badges, I think a lot of players are going to be really unhappy with this change, and overall, there's going to have a lot of backlash and criticism, which I really do think is completely unnecessary, because even though some players already have too many of these badges and it might not be too difficult to farm them, it would still have required tons of hours of farming and grinding in order to get all these new items from the WoW 20th anniversary event. I think what I would have done if I was Blizzard was simply adding even more items and more rewards to the different vendors, like they're trying to do with the Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King, to make sure that players who already have a lot of these different badges saved will be able to use them, instead of nerfing how players are now able to farm these, especially knowing that a lot of players didn't really consider farming a lot of them before because they already have the different rewards. But now that there are new rewards implemented, probably a lot of players were planning to spend quite a lot of time farming for the badges, but now it will become way more difficult, simply because some other people already farm hundreds of thousands of them. So overall, this is one big L for Blizzard, and it's a little bit sad because so far all the news regarding this event were really positive and great. So that's pretty much it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you think about this nerf, if you think it makes sense or not, and especially if you think it's gonna be too difficult to farm all these different rewards during the WoW 20th anniversary event, and if maybe this is a big mistake on Blizzard's part, because it means you will have to grind a lot in order to get in time all these different rewards. One thing that I really want to see as well is whether these changes will remain the same after the end of the WoW 20th anniversary event, or if it's just temporary and they again just want to limit the amount of badges you can farm before the release of this big event. I will be back very soon with more guides and more videos, and in the meantime I wish you all a great day. Bye!